Hi Nilesh.
Hi, Shreya.
What was your first thought when you went through the playbook?
Um, so I'd gone through the playbook after applying on the careers site for the first time, and the first thing that caught my eye was how clearly everything was laid out on the website, or specifically the playbook. It very clearly told me what sort of interview rounds I could expect. It very clearly told me what is the growth process at One2N, and it also made me realize that One2N is a kind of a engineering company who's focused on taking companies who completed the 0 to 1 part of their engineering and they want to go to the next level. And so we are not open to having clients of all sorts. We are specifically looking for businesses who want to scale their engineering to the next level. So that gave me very clear insight into what I was going to be expecting in the interview rounds, and if I get an offer, what I would be working on once I join the company. And once I joined the company, I knew what I had to do to get to the next level and to get promoted. So this enabled me to self-start on my own, and I had a lot of clarity even before my first day at One2N. So this gave me a lot of confidence when I started working, and that has helped me throughout.
Okay. What's your method to keep everyone updated without overwhelming them?
Um, So usually in our projects, what I follow is a three-step process. We have daily stand-ups, which most engineering teams follow all across the world. But besides that, what me and my team also do is that we have weekly updates that we send to our lead and CTO, so that they're always in the loop of what we've achieved for the current week and what are our plans for the next week. Besides that, we also have a stakeholder meeting every once in 2 weeks or once in 4 weeks, depending on the ability of our stakeholders, so that everyone is fully informed on the current status of the project and if or not we're moving in the right direction. So that is what we usually do at One2N.
Okay. And was there a time when saying I don't know helped your team work better?
Multiple times. So let me recount one occurrence for you. So when I joined One2N newly, I was assigned to a project with a fairly different tech stack than what I'm usually used to. And when I was assigned a task on the code base, I was unable to navigate effectively to uh, accomplish my task. So I reached out to my manager immediately, and he proposed that we do a pair programming session where he helped me out on how to navigate the code base and how I could effectively improve my skills and not reach out to him the next time. So this was one occurrence, but there have been multiple such instances where me calling out very early into the task that there's something I don't know and asking for help. So that has been very helpful to me.
Okay. And what if you're stuck on a task? How would you update the team or client while suggesting fixes?
So again, this is another thing that happened multiple times when I started out on the project newly. uh, I was trying to get a hang of stuff, but it was difficult to wrap my head around it. So I tried. So what I usually do right now is that whenever I get stuck on something, I proactively search for a solution on my own by looking at existing documentation, by talking to some of my peers at One2N, or by usually pinging relevant stakeholders. But before I ping people who might be able to help me, I do my homework 100%. So I go into the call asking very specific questions. I ask them where I'm stuck. I tell them where I'm stuck, and they need to help me to resolve it. So when I'm usually stuck on something, I make sure I do my homework and only then reach out to people. I've noticed that people are more than glad to help you, but only if you have put in the effort to find out where you're stuck and then come to them with a very specific question, because nobody has the time in the world to spoon feed you the solution.
Okay. And if you find a better way to do something mid project, how do you suggest it without disrupting the team?
So it often happens that you want to try out something new in the middle of a project timeline, and what I do is that I usually look at the pros and the cons of the approach that I'm trying out. If the pros outnumber the cons by a very large extent, only then I propose the solution to relevant stakeholders, and I make sure that I've discussed this new approach with all of my peers, and only if they're all on the same page we take that solution forward. Otherwise, we come from a idea that you should probably not break something that already works, and that works for engineering as well as project management. And so only when there is something radically different in the new, only if there's a radically new advantage that we find a new approach, do we actually take it forward.
Okay. How do you deal with clients that have unrealistic expectations?
So dealing with clients is probably one of the most challenging parts of my job, I would say. um, soft since One2N is a consulting company, equal parts of my day are divided into actually doing software engineering and also talking and consulting with clients. Sometimes what happens is that client pushes for more than what we can actually deliver, and so what we usually do is that every time we are communicating to a stakeholder, we go with data driven points to put our opinion forward. We don't say I guess, I think and stuff. Like, we have clear data driven insights that would help us communicate to the client what you've achieved until now and what we plan to achieve in the next coming days or the coming quarter. If they are unrealistic, if my client continues to be unrealistic, we try and come to some sort of middle ground so that we can also finish the task by the given timeline, and also the client is happy with the output. Because One2N is all, if you look at One2N's timeline, it's the tagline, it says pragmatic engineering, and pragmatism is all about delivering your task within the stipulated amount of time without actually burning out on your own. There are a million abstractions in the world, beautiful programming abstractions in the world, that will never hit production. But if you're not able to generate economic value through your code, there is no use for the engineering you're doing. So sometimes the client might demand unrealistic timelines, but we try and be pragmatic as much as possible.
Okay. Last question for you. How would you help engineers and non-technical teams agree on priorities?
So my title here at One2N is a software engineer, but I think of myself more as a product engineer. And a big part about doing product engineering is getting people from all teams, from engineering to marketing to sales, to agree on stuff. And that's where the non-technical stuff of part of me being a product engineer comes in. A significant part of my day is actually spent understanding what the business team wants and how the technical team can implement it, and also vice versa. A lot of my days also spent translating the technical jargon that the engineering team produces into actual business value. So to get all relevant stakeholders, including engineering teams and non-technical teams, on the same page, we try and maintain a culture of documentation so that all communication that's exchanged between tech teams and non-tech teams is clearly outlined for anyone to view. And that is a culture that we've followed throughout since I joined One2N.